Good morning, friends. Welcome to our webinar, Implant in the Classroom and Beyond. We are going to give people just another minute or two to keep trickling in, so stay tuned. We will be with you shortly. Good morning, everyone. Again, welcome to our webinar, Implant in the Classroom and Beyond. My name is Candi Clouse. I'm the Vice President of Customer Success and Education Services here at IMPLAN. I am joined today by Dr. Kristin Stowe, a professor of economics at Wingate University and one of our inaugural Implant Certified Economist Program members, and her student Livian from Wingate University. So we are excited to have you all with us today. If you have a question, we're going to try to take a few of those at the end. You can raise your hand and be called on, and then just click on that microphone. We will take those questions again at the end, or there's the question box. We do have Angela Slovacek from our Education Services team on with us to answer questions live. If there's anything we can answer that way, she can type answers to you. Or again, if we have time at the end, we will take some questions. So what are we going to learn today? First, we're going to talk about how students and teachers benefit from economic impact analysis, and then dive into a real-life example of how Livian, who's a marketing student, was able to use IMPLAN to evaluate the incentives given to a new EV maker here in North Carolina. So it is, again, my pleasure to have Dr. Stowe and her student Livian with us today. So welcome, Dr. Stowe. Please tell us a little bit about your personal and professional background.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting Livian and me to be with you. By way of background, I am starting my 20th year on the faculty at Wingate University. And for audience members not familiar with Wingate, it is a small independent college located outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Before Wingate, I was completing my education, and my master's and doctoral degrees are both from Clemson University. Go Tigers.
Excellent. So we are neighbors by chance here with IMPLAN headquarters being just north of Charlotte. And so you're a professor of economics at Wingate. How did you get involved with IMPLAN and using the software?
I learned about IMPLAN back in 2019. I had been looking at and working towards creating a new upper level economics class within the Wingate School of Business. And as part of that, I learned about a class that was taught at another school, University of Vermont. I've never been there, but I did learn that they had an excellent class that involved student hands-on learning with economic development. That's how I learned about IMPLAN and became aware of the uses and potential uses for the software in the classroom.
Excellent. And as I mentioned, you are one of our first members of our newly launched, I guess I can still say that, less than a year or so, IMPLAN Certified Economist program. What has your experience been with that program?
This program has definitely been a benefit for me. I learned of the program last autumn. I took my exam in January of this year, and I'm going to highlight three things with the Certified Economist program. One is that you, Dr. Clouse, host a roundtable online discussions where there's new software updates discussed, where attendees can ask questions and learn from one another. I found that helpful. I have been able to use the IMPLAN knowledge and certification to assist some small and medium-sized businesses in the area with economic impact reports. And third, I've been working and started to bridge using IMPLAN for academic research. And in June, I attended a conference of the Mid-Continent Regional Science Association, which Dr. Clouse is involved with. And I was able to talk with folks who use IMPLAN both on a professional basis in the corporate world, but also in the academic world.
That is so fantastic to hear. And it was a pleasure getting to hear your presentation at the Mid-Continent Regional Sciences Association conference as well. So we were pleased to have you there. Switching up to you, Livian, tell us a little bit about your background. What's your story? What's your major at Wingate? And how did you end up in Dr. Stowe's class?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for asking me, Dr. Klaus. So my name is Livian, and I'm actually from Vietnam. I have been in Wingate for the past 3 years. My major is marketing, and the reason why I end up in Dr. Stowe class is because she is my academic advisor, and I'm also an honor student, so I have to complete the honor program. And Dr. Stowe also my advice for the honor programs, and she advised me to have the in-course the honorize my class with her, and we can do some research. And I love Dr. Stowe, so I just like, well, why not do research with her and learn about econs? And I actually end up minoring econ after her class.
Oh, that's such a fantastic story, and how we have sucked you into the world of economics. Dr. Stowe, can you provide a brief summary of this Econ 412 class that you teach?
I'd be glad to. As I mentioned earlier, I was inspired to create a new course after learning what some other schools are doing. Going back to 2019, which is when the process started for me, Wingate University was making a concerted effort to expand service learning through the curriculum. And my goal was to develop a class in which students could learn about economics, about economic development, economic theory, where students could learn some practical software skills, but where students could also conduct community-oriented research. The 400 level class that I developed with the support of the Dean of the Business School, and this is a class in which Livian enrolled, was an outgrowth of that.
Oh, that's fascinating. How long have you been teaching this class?
I went through the IMPLAN training at your office on the north side of Charlotte in autumn of 2019. We offered the course for the first time during spring of 2020. Now, if you're thinking that's when COVID broke out, that was correct. So the students that first semester were truly flexible, and I'm truly grateful that even though this university went online mid-semester, as so many schools did, those students in the class stuck with IMPLAN, they stuck with their projects, and we ended up with a successful end to that spring 2020 inaugural semester.
Oh, that's wonderful. And we all know those were trying times for students, no matter what level they were at.
Indeed.
So can you give some specific examples about how access to IMPLAN at the university has been beneficial to students, both in the midst of the COVID pandemic as well as through today?
One of the things that students who have taken the class, and being a small university, we offer the class one time per year. So this is a small offering. It's geared towards students in upper level courses within the School of Business. And one of the ways that it has benefited them is that the class has the students doing projects and work that are oriented toward either our immediate community in Union County or looking at some aspect of North Carolina's economy as a whole. And they have, as part of this, done an economic impact analysis of Wingate University itself. They've done work for the Council of Aging in Union County, and they've done work for some other projects and organizations too.
How is IMPLAN experience helpful for those students when they're graduating from college and getting that first job?
That's a good question, because very few students, not only from Wingate University, but from other institutions as well, go specifically into economic development or purely economic job titles and roles. One of the things that I have heard from students after they've been through the class is that it does help them to, first of all, be able to talk during job interviews about having completed a service learning community oriented project, and employers find that valuable. And while these students may be interviewing at employers who are not using IMPLAN specifically, every employer wants their new hires to learn a specific mix of software. And it's been beneficial for students to show that they have experience in learning to use what was to them a new piece of software or a new app.
That's excellent. And it really sounds like not only with the experience of, Livian being a marketing student, but it's not just those straight economic jobs that are looking for students who have that hands-on learning coming out of school to be ready to hit the workforce.
And Wingate does not have an economics major. We are a small school of business. We do have an economics minor. So in fact, the students who are taking this class are not an economics major, but they are all taking the course to learn to get that hands-on applied experience and knowledge.
Fantastic. Well, let's jump into this project that you worked on. So this was a case study that was used in class that Livian, you worked on. And before we jump into this, I want to share this quote that was from you, Livian, that I think sums up your experience with IMPLAN perfectly. You said, "Before taking the course, I never really thought about how construction of a new business could impact my life. When I studied the economic impact using IMPLAN, it helped me understand. It's really intriguing to me to be able to learn how to use well-trusted data from multiple government and economic databases to be able to make projections." And I think that's such a fascinating insight into how you were able to use this class project to really see how decisions are being made in your community, and not only your community here, but your community at home as well. So jumping in on this, Livian, tell us about this new EV maker and your connection to them across the ocean and how you got interested in this.
Yes, thank you. So VinFast is just a 5 years old Vietnamese automaker, but their parent company, which is Vingroup, is a well-established company, and they are very well-funded, popular in Vietnam. So imagine when you talk about Amazon, American gonna know, oh, that is such a big company. Then Vingroup in Vietnam is kind of have the same impact. So when I found out that they launched their VinFast company, I was not aware of the first manufacturing plan, but when I started doing this research, because I know they're gonna try to enter the US market, I find out that their first manufacturing plant is literally 9 miles away from my hometown. And I think it's just perfect to do it. And I'm so excited to learn more about this company. So as you see in this presentation, the yellow star is their South Wingate Industrial Park, and the city is literally just next to it, and everybody know about VinFast.
Such a fascinating story and connection that you have to this company, and it's really neat that you were able to study it. So tell me about Dr. Stowe's class. What was it that you expected to get out of it, and what were you able to get out of it?
So before I took this class, I really don't know what to expect. So I took this class with intention to learn more about IMPLAN. But Dr. Stowe was very, very good with walking through all of the details. During the class, we have literally like step-by-step guideline how to explore IMPLAN, and during class time we watch the guiding videos together, and we have some homework related to how to use IMPLAN and analyze some articles that we found. So for me, it's an eye-opening experience, because now when I look at an article, I can feel like, well, I need to look at the source. I have to see like whether it's a right number or not. So I'm not just blindly believe in whatever the internet offer. And one of the cool thing is that recently I have friends that sharing the article about the Federal Reserve say about the Taylor Swift era tour boosted the economy. And my first instinct was like, oh yeah, they're probably using some sort of like IMPLAN data source to find out how it impact. And I just really love the experience and the results that I was able to make.
Oh, that's so funny that we can talk about everything from travel plans because of a Taylor Swift tour to construction operations of an EV plant opening their North American operations here in North Carolina. And it's really an interesting point also that you brought up, that you were able to think critically about the things that you do see in the headlines, because as many good economic impact studies as we have out there, there are a few that are not so great. So to be able to look at them critically and say, I don't know that I trust their sources or their methodology, knowing some of the assumptions and limitations with input, output, and social accounting matrices, that you come at it as a more critical thinker, which is one of the things we hope that all of our college grads are ready to do as well. So tell me what you did, Livian, to look at this VinFast project, you know, kind of start to finish, the high level, how you conducted this analysis.
So this research, Dr. Stowe and I, we working at specifically on how the construction impact the local economy in Chatham County, and provided that the article from trusted source mentioned about the projected job offer and the estimated fee. We use those numbers to put into IMPLAN, and we generate some research, and we have some key number that we write down at the end. But I also looking at the Southeast car manufacturing landscape, and we kind of like try to look deeper into the 1.2 billion incentive package to see whether or not it's adjustable incentive package. Because during the class, Dr. Stowe also have assignment for us to go to the town hall meeting, and we have to record all of the things that going on within the Wingate city. And one of that is that people from different companies show up to the town hall meeting and asking for like funding and all of that. So I think like it's a very cool point for us to do research to make sure that people, when they read the research, they understand that the 1.2 billion incentive package is not just some crazy number, but they have some backup sources, and why this is a good investment for the people in the county and for the taxpayers.
Oh, what a great experience to be able to see your work being implemented in that public policy too, because so often economic impact studies are used to look at incentives and if there will be a return, what that multiplier effect will be for the jobs that are created. There's that nice supply chain and those new workers hopefully coming to town for all of these things.
That's
So
right.
that's just fantastic. How did you feel going into that meeting?
Well, I remember I literally didn't know what to expect again because this is all new for me. But I have two of my classmates go with me because the town hall meeting like right across the street. So we just plan to go together. And I remember at the end of the town hall meeting, both of us come and take a picture with the mayor, and then it's a small town, so it feels very connected. And the mayor know some of the classmate parents, and then they keep talking about like how the funding process gonna be, and we asked some questions about it, and the mayor just so happy to see like young people showing up and actually like asking questions. So I think it's really cool to be a part of that.
That is so wonderful and tells that true story of those smaller universities and how connected they really are to the local community when the mayor is able to open things up and fully embrace that student body that may only be around for 4 years, but hopefully some will stick around and become permanent residents in the city. So tell us about how you did this in IMPLAN. The process of actually putting through the analysis and getting your results for the project.
So we divided the project into two parts. The first one gonna be the construction part, and the second part gonna be the operational part. And because at the time when we do the research, the estimated starting breaking ground of the VinFast was 2022. So we have the starting year of 2022. And for the total job, it was 7,500 jobs. So we just put it in. And I know Dr. Stowe, she runs some advanced level of impact. So all of the industries and estimated fee was added in, and we using the MRIO, which include all of the multi-regional surrounding area, because we know some of the workers might not stay in local area, and we have people coming from different places. So we take into consideration of different counties, and we included 7 counties in total. So it was a broad impact, not focus only on one town, but the surrounding impact and how one construction can provide jobs and a lot of business to different places around the surrounding area. In the first year, do we have the infographic?
There you
Yes,
go.
ma'am. So awesome. So at the end of the research, we have the total output of the VinFast manufacturing plan on the Chatham County from 2022 to 2025 is projected to be 15.3 billion in output. And starting from the 1,700 jobs directly, according to the VinFast company, we actually have around over 26,000 jobs will be added, supported in both the construction phase and the operation phase. And the tax value, the annual estimated contribution during the operations is 494 million in state, local, and federal tax revenue.
So amazing. And I think one of my favorite pieces of your analysis was the first point on this page, if you'd like to share that with us.
Yes. So Assuming all resources are easily available, that there is consumer demand for the vehicles, the estimated tax income generated by VinFast operations should be repay the public coffers within 5 years. It's difficult to make an exact forecast about the amount of success that VinFast will make in the US market, since the manufacturing facility is still being constructed. With the favorable consumer reaction, the study indicates that the incentives given to attract VinFast to North Carolina could be a sensible political and business decision.
So often when we're looking at those incentives that come from city, county, and state governments, they want to know, when will we get our tax money back? And through your analysis, you were able to say that it should be about 5 years, which is actually pretty reasonable, because we would expect this company to be around far longer than 5 years, right? We hope that they're successful and able to maintain the employment and continue to produce and perhaps even grow their footprint within North Carolina. Fantastic. So, Dr. Stowe, you got to have this fantastic student, and I'm assuming the rest of your class was equally as amazing. What are your takeaways from being able to use IMPLAN in the classroom and see how Livian and her classmates were able to be so successful?
I was very fortunate to have a good group of students in that class. By design, it was a small class, and one of the things that I asked students to do was to fairly regularly bring things to class to discuss. And the students were making presentations on a regular basis during the semester. And in fact, it was through those presentations that Livian learned that one of her classmates, who is from Chatham County, had some firsthand knowledge of the site which VinFast is using to build. And I think that what Livian was saying too, about the fact that she's now able to critically evaluate headlines that she sees and to think through, does that economic impact number make sense? That's something that the students did not have the background knowledge to do at the start of the semester, but after going through the course, after working with IMPLAN, after doing projects, after looking at projects that have been published in the news, the students were able to develop some of those mental filters to think through what's reasonable and what's not. And to me, that is extremely important.
You are 200% correct. You know, that ability to just question the data that's around them and think through how maybe they might have framed things differently or looked at something from a different angle, included or excluded something different than the people who ran the analysis. I think that's just of such importance as we want to have all of these critical thinkers come out of our university system here. What advice or perspective would you give to other professors and universities who are thinking about using IMPLAN to support their research or their teaching?
I would have a couple of things to give here as perspective. One is that at Wingate, I was fortunate that a donor to the School of Business gave funds that can be used to help offset the annual subscription. And as there may be other faculty members listening to this thinking about bringing IMPLAN or a similar type course into their curriculum, IMPLAN is not cheap, but IMPLAN I have found is valuable. And I think that the student learning that has occurred is valuable. I think that the projects that have been done on behalf of community nonprofits are valuable. I think the projects that have been done on behalf of local businesses for faculty research projects, those type of things combined have for Wingate made the subscription quite worthwhile.
That's fantastic. And to be able, again, to make that connection in the community and able to help those, smaller businesses who might not be able to hire a big consulting firm to do an analysis for them or something like that, to be able to offer that as a service to the business community is so important as well.
It is, and it's one of the things that people who are considering the use of IMPLAN in their university, I think that is a bonus to consider, that it does go beyond one specific course or one specific classroom.
Yeah, and amazing that you can be set up as one of those experts, coming from the background that you have, to be able to offer that to the community and the students as well.
Yes, and I think too, to go back to the Certified Economist program that you were talking about earlier, if there are people listening who are considering that program, I do think that the structure of that program and that the knowledge base have been useful for me since I completed it.
That's fantastic to hear. And just to give, a quick background on what that is, that was something that we launched about a year ago, and it's basically a kind of coursework and then exam to have people certified by IMPLAN staff, so our education services team, saying that IMPLAN says that these people know what they're talking about. So we're not certifying individual reports and reading everything that comes out of Dr. Stowe's work or other IMPLAN Certified Economist Program members, but what we are saying is all of these people understand the basics of IMPLAN, input, output, and know what they're doing, so that we can generally say the studies that they're putting out are valid. They are worthwhile because they have been put through this course and this test to prove that they have the knowledge. So if that's something that you're interested in looking into or talking more about, feel free to email support@implan.com and we can talk through that as well. I think we're up to about 10 members now, so that's exciting. And these are also the people, when we get calls here at the office of someone saying, I'm looking for someone to run an impact report for us. That's not really what we do here at IMPLAN. So our IMPLAN Certified Economist program members are who we reach out to. So if it's someone, let's say in the Charlotte area, I'm going to call Dr. Stowe and say, Dr. Stowe, we have this person that's looking for, a small consulting project. Would you be interested? Because I know that I can trust her work and the work of the other certified economists as well. So with that, is there anything, Dr. Stowe, that you'd like to mention that we haven't addressed today?
As you were talking just a moment ago, I have to think some of my students were laughing at the idea of me having to take an exam, because usually the situation is reversed.
That's absolutely true. But
the
Dr. Stowe did very well on her exam.
I pass. But no,
Yes.
the main thing I want to say is thank you for having Livian and I join you today. I want people to hear about her, to hear about her background, and to hear about her work. And this was a great opportunity to do that. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Livian, anything else you want to mention?
I just want to say that I really enjoy Dr. Stowe's class, and I think that having this type of class in a college setting really help us, especially like younger generation. We're going to be the next generation to make decisions. It will help us to have a more critical thinking skill and being able to use hands-on experience to our real job in the workforce. So from the student perspective, I really enjoy the class and I enjoy the IMPLAN. And I feel like when we talk about econs, it's probably like very broad, but IMPLAN really helped me to think everything from a deeper lens and more particular and very helpful.
That's so fantastic. And Livian, I'm going to warn you right now, I learned IMPLAN in the classroom, so you never know, you could end up coming to work for IMPLAN as well someday.
That's very true. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. And it has absolutely been our pleasure, Dr. Stowe, to have you on here and to be able to highlight the work that Livian did and you did in your class. These are the stories we love to hear. So if anyone listening wants to share some great implant examples, implant stories, we love to highlight things that our people are doing out there, cool research, things that are interesting, stories like Livian's, anything like that, please let us know. Always email support@implan.com. The only question I got, so if you have any questions, please feel free to type them or raise your hand, is how do you start using implant in the classroom? Well, that's super easy. All you have to do is email support@implan.com and say in the message that you're interested in using implant in a classroom, and I will have a conversation with you about how to get things going. It's actually pretty darn easy for anyone that has a current subscription to implant. And all we ask is that you share with us the materials that you're using with your students so we can get a better understanding of how you are using implant to teach. And we are currently in the process of putting together some educational materials to make it easier for people to teach in the classroom, based a lot on our current training program that we use to train people, as well as some information that we've learned about how some of our current 27 classrooms are teaching with implant right now. So I believe this year we had about 250 students who went through some portion of coursework using implant. So we're really excited about all of that. As I said, I learned implant in the classroom, so I think it's super valuable. I was able to use it not only to end up working at implant, but for many years I did a lot of consulting work through a university using implant as well. So I see one question. Do all of the students have their own login? Yes, they do. So we ask that just for a list of student names and email addresses, and then set up a generic password. They can all go in, change their password, and have their own login for the software, be able to keep their projects. They can also share them with professors as well. So if you wanted to, as a professor, check how someone set up their project, they can share it with you. You can pop in and see exactly what kind of events, what kind of values, groups that they use within that. And I think that I am now out of that, out of questions, unless I am missing any. But if some come in that I didn't get to, we will follow up with you after the webinar. You will hear back. Oh, I do see a couple popping in now. Sorry about that. What schools are teaching with implant? Well, we know Wingate University is doing that, and we have everything from smaller schools that are private, like Wingate, all the way up through large entities like California State University and things like that, really all over the place in terms of school size and makeup, mostly stemming from people who have had experience using implant, implementing it within their classroom. And no, there is no cost per student. So depending on what kind of implant package you have, if you have a class of 50 people, that's your one class. So that's fine. If you have a class of 6 people, that's fine. So the cost is not per student. And those are granted. They would have the login access for the same geography that you have as the professor. So if you have the state of North Carolina package, for example, all of your students would also have the state of North Carolina package, and we would honor that through the semester. So if they needed to finish something up before, finals or something like that, we don't give it to them for a week and take it away. We allow the students to keep it for the entire semester. Is there a list of schools available? I can ask for permission. I have never asked everyone to say, hey, can I tell people that you're teaching with implant? So that's something that I can work on, and I will put that on my notes over here to do that. But as I said, we're in the 27 classrooms right now and always looking to add more. So feel free to reach out on that. And One more. I'll be using this in my rural development class in spring 2024. Can't wait. Sharon Kane. Yay, Sharon. We're so excited. I love that. And you know how to get in touch with us. Anyone else? Feel free. Email support@implan.com. We're happy to help. And I'd love to talk to you about how we can get IMPLAN in the classroom at your college or university and expand this program so that I have more students coming out of school when I need to hire here at the IMPLAN headquarters. So with that, thank you so much, Dr. Stowe. Thank you so much, Livian. Impressive work that you both did. We're so impressed. Livian, I want to hear updates on how you're doing as you go through finishing your degree and ending up in the workforce, you know, maybe ending up at VinFast or IMPLAN or wherever your career takes you. But thank you so much, both of you, for sharing your story today. Appreciate you. And everyone, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful day.